Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Presidential candidate Kamala Harris presented a proposal that was supposed to appeal to black male voters. Now, this proposal that was designed to appeal to black male voters came in the aftermath of former President Barack Obama making a lecture to black male voters that basically wound up backfiring on the Harris campaign and wound up with many black men winding up becoming even more alienated from the Harris campaign than they were previously. Now, according to this proposal that Kamala Harris is presenting as her so-called agenda for black men, she is presenting several bullet points that she is presenting as goals that she wants to make that specifically are designed to appeal specifically to black men. Now, these proposals run counter to what Kamala Harris presented as related to her campaign in 2020, when she said that she could not do anything for black people and basically laughed as she made that statement.
Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
And this whole about face basically shows how the Harris campaign has become extremely desperate for black male voters as they see the poll numbers getting closer as the election draws nearer. And as they see the election drawing nearer, what they are basically doing is becoming more and more desperate to try to court black voters, especially black male voters, who have openly said that they have no interest in supporting Kamala Harris and have no interest in supporting Kamala Harris based on her previous track record of persecuting black men while she was the district attorney of San Francisco, the attorney general of the state of California, and basically showed how she had no interest in helping black people by the statement she made where she said that she was going to do nothing specifically for black people. And this whole statement by Kamala Harris looks like on the surface a complete about face. However, when you take a critical look at this proposal, it basically is one big nothing burger because it's basically an empty gesture meant to try to get the attention of black men, but doesn't provide anything really tangible that is directed specifically at black men. Now, what Kamala Harris and her campaign are looking to do is get in front of the black men who are basically saying that they are not even interested in going to the polls to vote on November 5th on Election Day at all. And what they want to do is get in front of those black men and try to present them an agenda similar to what Ice Cube was trying to do with his contract with Black America in his efforts to try to get in front of black people and try to present his own black agenda in front of all of the foundational black Americans and be able to profit from that at black people's expense. Now, this whole proposal by Kamala Harris, again, is one desperate empty gesture to see if they can get black votes without having to give black people anything at all tangible, and basically look to think that you could get a black vote by making it look like you are going to feign some sort of interest in black people. Again, the whole mindset and attitude of the Harris campaign has not really changed as related to everything. They still, in this last 20 days of this campaign, are desperate to try to get something for nothing from black people, and any critical thinking black person, once they look at this proposal, will really see how full of it the Harris campaign truly is. Now, one of the bullet points, the first one is presented to say that you're going to provide 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000 for black entrepreneurs and others to start a business. Now, this whole statement is completely full of it because this is not a statement that, again, is directed specifically for black men. No, this is a statement that says black entrepreneurs, which could mean black men or black women, and the whole case of the others means that they want to try to sneak in many of the minorities, including many of the migrants who entered illegally to get this money. So that's not a real, tangible at all directed towards specifically for black men, because it just isn't directed specifically that says straight in the first statement black men, because that's this whole statement again is about giving everyone something and giving black people absolutely nothing. Now, as a black business owner, again, this loan would be, I know that would be next to impossible to get for any black man out here, because you have to deal with banks or you have to deal with institutions. So it would be a lot of bureaucracy, and it would be next to impossible for a black person to get this. So this isn't a tangible at all that is attainable at all for most black business owners who basically come out of their pockets of their paychecks or their other ways of making income. Like if they work a platform like YouTube or they have other royalty things, we basically take our own money and invest it in our own businesses. So this loan really isn't going to help me at all, or any black man at all. Now, this second bullet point is talking about supporting education, training, and mentorship programs that lead to good paying jobs for black men, including pathways to become teachers. And this is another BS talking point, because when it comes to these mentoring and training programs, I worked at a nonprofit for one, they really don't have much impact in providing good paying jobs for black men at all. And they're basically a way to funnel government money to nonprofits, which basically are there to milk the community, where these guys who basically run these nonprofits are basically white leftists, and these white leftists who run these nonprofits basically take millions in dollars of grant money and provide you Midnight Basketball 2.0, an empty program that basically does nothing for black men, and that whole pathways to become teachers, that's complete BS, because most black men have no interest in becoming teachers, because the job of teacher is one that most men don't want. Again, they already know, if you know the statistics as related to black male teachers, you know that the numbers are slim to none right now, and they're slim to none because most black men know that this is a job that's just nothing but stress, because it's a gynocentric environment, and with education being a gynocentric environment, it is very much a hostile environment for most black men. So no black man really has an incentive to take that job or even work on a pathway for that job. So this in and of itself is absolutely ridiculous as related to a proposal. It's just, again, Midnight Basketball 2.0, and basically just an easy way for white leftist nonprofits to go out here and make money at the expense of black men. Now, the next point is talking about protect cryptocurrency investments, so black men who make them know that their money is safe. Again, this is another BS talking point that basically isn't going to help black men, because not that many black men invest in cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is nothing more than gambling. And again, how are you going to make their money safe? Again, cryptocurrency is not run by the Federal Reserve, it is not run by the FDIC, and you can't make that money safe, because that money has absolutely nothing to do with the Federal Reserve System or the banking system. Now, the next talking point talks about launch a national health initiative focused on the illnesses that disproportionately impact black men, and we know that this talking point basically is one that's not going to go anywhere, because again, we have the Affordable Care Act, which basically made health care even worse. And again, when it comes to black people, we don't really see much of an effort to try to help black men, especially deal with the ultimate illness that many black men deal with, and that is white supremacy. If you want to launch a national health initiative, how about dealing with white supremacy so that black men won't have to deal with the stress and anxiety that many of us deal with, because We can't get opportunities in the job market. We can't go out here and live in peace. We live in fear every day that the next day, that the first day we come out of our house may be the last day of our life. I mean, that's the ultimate illness that many black men deal with, is white supremacy. But this health initiative is going to talk about all these other things like prostate cancer and other hypertension, but a lot of that stress comes from stress, and that stress basically comes from living in a white supremacist country. Now, this last bullet point that Kamala Harris is presenting is talking about legalizing recreational marijuana and creating opportunities for black Americans to succeed in this new industry. And we know that this is BS because ever since 1970, they have been waging a war on black people through the war on drugs. And when it comes to marijuana, not all of us go out here and look to smoke that junk. No, a lot of us want nothing to do with that garbage drug that basically destroys brain cells. No, this whole proposal in and of itself is racist because it's basically saying all black men want to do is smoke up and get high, and a lot of us have no interest in even dealing with that drug, especially some of us who grew up in the crack epidemic and saw young guys take the weed as a gateway to taking harder drugs like heroin, cocaine, and crack. Overall, we saw people basically destroy themselves with these drugs, and we want absolutely nothing to do with these drugs at all. And this whole proposal in and of itself that Kamala Harris is presenting for black men is shallow, disingenuous, and basically is nothing to us. Again, it's a proposal that passively presents ideas to propose to target black men, but aggressively gives us nothing tangible at all, and is a way for Kamala Harris's campaign to basically create a smokescreen that they're actually presenting tangibles to black men when they're actually presenting nothing at all. And anybody who is a critical thinker and understands the subtle politics transpiring around them would know that this whole proposal is bullshit, and know that it is bullshit because this whole proposal just shows us again not only the desperation of the Harris campaign to try to maintain the codependent relationship that they're trying to foster with black men, but really shows how they really think black men are stupid because they think we don't understand the political process. Now, as the late David Carroll tried to tell many black people on YouTube before he passed away, when it comes to the political process as related to agenda is not dictated by the candidate. No, the political process as related to agenda is dictated by we the people. And when it comes to black men have to prove David Carroll wrong when he said that black men are dumb. When he said black men are dumb, because when it comes to black men, we have to understand it's not for us to take Kamala Harris's agenda. No, it is for us to go out here and hammer out our own agenda. And when it comes to Kamala Harris's proposal, none of our talking points or our agenda points are presented in this proposal, and with none of our bullet points and our agenda points presented in this proposal, we do not have to accept this proposal at all. No, this was not an agenda that was presented by black men to the candidate we chose, so we have no interest in hearing any of this. No, as the late David Carroll tried to tell us regarding the political process, it is up to us to go out here and hammer out the agenda. It is up to us to go out here and create our agenda, and then after we hammer out our agenda, this is where we pick our candidate, and we have our candidate represent our agenda. That is how the process is supposed to work, and sadly, many black folks are getting in their feelings talking about Kamala Harris's ridiculous proposal instead of understanding how she's trying to circumvent the political process in a desperate attempt to try to get people to think that she's really serious about considering the black male vote, when in actuality all she wants to do is see how many people go out here and nibble at a carrot that is basically empty calories from an empty soup. No, when it comes to an agenda, again, none of our points are being presented as related to this so called proposal. I mean, when it comes to this proposal, we don't see the number one bullet point of an anti black hate crime law being presented in this proposal at all. And with there being no anti black hate crime law being presented, this whole proposal basically is something that we just need to throw in the trash because that is a tangible black people need to protect our civil rights as related to many of the suburban commandos, the rogue police officers, and the Karens, and set a hard boundary for them as related to the way they treat black people in this country. That is the first thing that of a serious agenda that people would consider to take seriously. The second one would be definite reparations, reparations for not only the legacy of slavery, the legacy of Jim Crow, and the current and ongoing discrimination that has prevented many black men like myself from being able to actualize our potential and compete in the economy. That is a proposal that, again, needs to be as related to a serious agenda towards rectifying the economic disparity between black, foundational black Americans and all others who have gained benefits in this country from basically all the centuries of racism and discrimination that go on. That is a policy that, again, would be something black men would take seriously, not to mention a serious campaign to deal with rogue police officers and be able to create policies to basically outlaw the behaviors of excessive force, not to mention going out here and being able to give us actual, again, cash money, which is what reparations would do, because reparations would basically make it where black men wouldn't have to depend on jobs. No, we could depend on building our own businesses and being able to compete in the global marketplace, something we have been denied an ability to do because white supremacy and those who benefit from white supremacy or support the hierarchy of white supremacy, they have gone out here and benefited from keeping black people at the bottom of their racial pyramid for 4 centuries. So when they sit, these are tangibles that black men want, and these are the type of tangibles we want as part of our agenda. But we know that when it comes to the Blue Party, they basically again want to see what they can get for nothing, and that's what this whole proposal is. It's a big bag of nothing, similar to Joe Biden's promise to go meet Ice Cube. Here we are, about, again, 3.5 years later, and Ice Cube still hasn't met with Joe Biden. And if Ice Cube didn't get a chance to meet with Joe Biden, then this whole proposal that Kamala Harris is presenting will go about the same amount of nowhere that Ice Cube's meeting went. I mean, that meeting never got scheduled by Joe Biden because he basically got what he wanted. He got what he wanted when people took their booties to the poll. And when they took their booties to the poll, he basically told them after the election he would give them nothing. And we're going to get the same amount of nothing from a Kamala Harris presidency as related to things as with Joe Biden, who proposed a Lift Every Voice plan back before he got elected. But that proposal basically went nowhere, the same way the George Floyd police proposals went nowhere, and the same way the John Lewis Voting Rights Act went nowhere. And again, there's nothing on the table for foundational black American men. And since there's nothing on the table for foundational black American men, then all we need to do is stay home, and we have no reason to go to the polls after being disrespected by Barack Obama, who talked down to us like a white supremacist, talked down to us like he was some sort of overseer or slave master, talking down to us in a condescending fashion. And what's even worse than Barack Obama talking down to us is Kamala Harris's desperate proposal that basically presents us nothing at all. Again, an empty gesture to see what she can get, getting something for nothing, but presents nothing at all for foundational black American men. Again, presenting nothing to black American men, as a voting bloc tangible for us that will improve our quality of life. And since there's nothing there that will improve our quality of life, then we don't have to go to the polls to go vote for either candidate as I see it, because since nothing is being proposed for us that will basically give us anything, then we don't have to give either of these candidates any of our time. And with neither of these candidates giving us anything, black men have more than enough reason to stay home, because if this is the best that the Harris campaign can present to us, then they're presenting nothing to us at all outside of this empty gesture, an empty gesture that again passively presents you a proposal for a so-called opportunity agenda. Again, this was not your agenda, black man. You did not go out here and hammer out that agenda, so you have nothing to say, nothing in this agenda for you. Again, when it comes, like the late David Carroll tried to explain to everyone before he passed away, again, the agenda comes from we, the people, and with the agenda coming from we, the people, then the candidate is dictated to by we, the people. That's how it works in a democracy. And again, if Kamala Harris and her campaign were serious about preserving democracy, they would go out here and listen to black men, but they don't want to listen to black men because that means you have to actually concede your position of power, and they don't want to do that at all. No, they want to maintain the status quo of their so-called democracy. And again, if you want to actually preserve your democracy, you would be a lot more serious about talking to black men like myself about what we want, and me making efforts to give us what we want. If Donald Trump is such a menace, if Donald Trump is such a menace to our Constitution and our democracy, then you would think you would be out here eager to talk to black men as a collective, black men as a group, and talk to black men about giving us something tangible. You would look to go out here and look to give us something tangible as related to preserving your democracy. But we see how full of it the Harris campaign is, because the Harris campaign really isn't about looking to give black men anything. No, what they want to do is go out here and feign it like they're doing something, but they're doing absolutely nothing at all. And again, if they were serious about doing something, they would have done something 4 years ago when they had the House and the Senate. They would have rewarded black people for taking their booties to the poll, but Joe Biden basically squandered that opportunity by throwing up a middle finger at black people. And as he threw up a middle finger at those so-called black leaders, telling them he could do nothing for them, he didn't see how he basically jumped the shark for the entire blue party and alienated one of the biggest voting blocs and basically the base of the party, alienated the entire base of the party. And now they're trying to scramble to try to shore up a base, but that base is basically broken, and it's been in a state of decline ever since Barack Obama came to office and basically disrespected black people, not giving us tangibles of justice for Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, and the guy who took the life of and Michael Brown. Didn't give those black men justice, and as a result, we didn't set that boundary. And again, the biracial black president basically, ironically, has basically torpedoed the Harris campaign, possibly with his statement, which was the jump the shark for black men, where black men basically had already been alienated as related to Obama, now are looking at Harris and saying, hey, this is the same campaign that says they can't do anything specifically for black people. And since they can't do anything specifically for black people, many black men say since they can't get anything specifically targeted for them, have no reason to vote, and no reason to vote while they're watching people who enter the country illegally get something specific for them. People in the alphabet community get something specific for them, watching white women get something specific for them, watching Asians get an anti-Asian hate crime law specifically for them, watching Ukrainians who are not citizens get something specific for them. I mean, everyone gets something specific for them, but black men, all we get is hot air and a proposal that will basically go nowhere on January 21st. On January 21st, Kamala Harris's opportunity agenda will be chucked in the trash like Joe Biden's Lift Every Voice plan, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and the George Floyd proposal for reforming police. And again, it's going to go in the garbage because it's not our agenda. And the only way for us to get a black agenda is for us to make our own agenda and make our own agenda with our own points and as a voting bloc pick our candidates. That's how we get a black agenda through, and we can already see through this counterfeit proposal, a counterfeit proposal that is made out of desperation because they know black men aren't taking their booty to the poll, and we have no reason to take our booty to the poll because we have been disrespected by the Obama administration from 2008 to 2016. We have been ignored by the Trump presidency, which basically indirectly did more than the Obama campaign did. And when it came to this whole Biden administration, it threw a middle finger up at foundational black Americans. So when it comes to this whole election cycle, we have no reason to again participate in a cycle when we're getting nothing out of the deal. And that's the whole thing what we see that we're going to get as related to things, because this proposal is an empty gesture from an empty soup. And again, we don't have time for empty calories and an empty campaign that doesn't want to deliver on any goods that are tangible for foundational black Americans. Now, I said I would not go out and make any more videos regarding the 2024 election, but when I heard this proposal, it just was something I had to talk about, and I don't want to talk again about these things, but this whole proposal, again, is an insult directed at black men, an insult towards black men that, again, is a complete affront to us. Because even in the face of, again, basically, they would rather just, again, not give us anything and would rather, I believe, lose. So they'd rather make this campaign, again, all about maintaining the status quo instead of giving us something tangible and substantive as a collective. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, a black-owned business, you can support that business that provides positive material that presents a positive image of black people on Amazon.com by picking up my books in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find those books at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos on this platform about other topics other than politics, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose on Amazon.com today.
Now available on Lulu. John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.